Purtell is thinking about one date right now, January 9th. Tell us, Aidan, what's so special about January 9th?
Well, I'm making my professional debut at the Keyboard Concert Series as a special event. It's always been a big dream of mine, and now it's finally coming true.
Now, how old are you?
I'm 16 years old.
So you're 16 years old, and you're going to be playing a full-length concert at this world-renowned piano series. That's a pretty big deal, right?
It's a huge deal. I'm very excited and a little nervous.
I was going to ask you, do you get nervous before a concert?
Always. And it's a good thing in a way because it helps you focus. But on the other side, you have to control it because you don't want it to become a distraction.
You will be performing some really interesting works, and we're going to get to that in a moment. But first, let's talk a little bit about your background. How old were you when you started playing piano?
Well, I started playing the piano at age 6.5, but I started my music instruction at 5. So when my grandfather's father was 5, he had my grandfather play the ukulele. So when I turned 5, my grandfather wanted me to play the ukulele. So I took ukulele lessons at Patrick's Music for about a year. And whenever I had a question, the instructor, who had a piano in the room, would always say, well, I can't show you on the ukulele, but I can show you on the piano. So eventually I asked, well, just teach me how to play the piano. And since then, it's been a great journey, challenging journey, but exciting journey.
Well, first of all, I didn't even know you could take ukulele lessons, so that's a great thing to know. And secondly, that is really amazing that you knew what you wanted to do from such an early age. So you started taking piano lessons, and then when you were 9 years old, you started taking lessons with someone who has been very important in your life. Tell us who that is.
Andreas Wirtz.
And Andreas is, of course, the artistic director of Keyboard Concerts, a professor of piano at Fresno State, a great pianist in his own right. What was it like to audition for him or to play for him the first time?
So when I played for him the first time, I was 9, as I said before, and I played the third movement of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. Now, it's a very, very challenging piece, and it was completely above my level. So when I was finished, he said, bravo, but please never do that again.
So in other words, he wants you to wait a while until...
Wanted me to wait a while.
To wait a while. Mm-hmm. But that was pretty daring of you to play such a difficult piece for him.
It was very daring, yeah.
What does having a teacher like Andreas, what does it mean to you? Is it in terms of him showing you various technique, or is it kind of as a coach encouraging you? What does he bring to the equation?
Well, I think Andreas does a lot of things, and I'm very grateful for all the work he's done for me. Of course, he always has to work with me with technique. It's a continuing journey there. But he has the most incredible insights about the interpretation of the music. Has played in many halls, he's listened to a lot of music, et cetera, et cetera. So he can pull from his tremendous wealth of experience and share with me things that I could never have dreamed of on my own.
Now you go to Clovis Online School. You're going to be graduating from high school early. What has that arrangement meant for you in terms of your practicing and your ability to focus on the piano?
Well, first of all, I have more time to practice, and I can practice in the morning, which is when, generally speaking, your concentration is the best. It's also allowed me to have much more flexibility when I'm at a competition or a performance or a festival I have to go to. And of course, the timing was impeccable. Like 3 months after I started the Clovis Online, COVID hit. So I was situated perfectly to deal with the pandemic.
You mentioned competitions, and my understanding is that the piano world is very geared toward competitions in terms of younger people. It's kind of a way that you prove yourself. Tell us about that competitive world, and what have you excelled at so far?
Well, first of all, it's very fierce competition. There are a lot of pianists who are very, very good from all over the world. It is actually a very fast-growing industry in China, Japan, and South Korea. A large number of pianists who are technically perfect. So they end up winning a lot of competitions. In the end, they're not something that I particularly like, but they do push me, and that's really a good thing in the end.
And you've done very well at a couple of them. Tell us what those have been.
Yes, I was a participant at the Philadelphia International Piano Competition this past summer. It was exciting. I also won the Music Teachers Association of California concerto competition. So that was another big, exciting thing for me.
And you've also been to Germany to play there?
Yes. About 4 years ago, my family and I took a big trip to Europe. Germany, Italy, Switzerland, France. It was fantastic. It was really unbelievable. And I got to go to Andreas's house in Germany. And he lives in this little village outside of Frankfurt. So I got to play a concert in his house with the whole village watching. So it was pretty cool.
How fun. I've always wondered, like, where does Andreas live? You know, what is his place like? So we'll have to see some pictures of that someday. So tell us about this concert on January 9th. You've been preparing for it. What can people expect?
Well, I think all the repertoire is completely out of the ordinary. I'm starting with a piece by the American composer Morton Gould. It's called Ghost Waltzes. So it synthesizes these sort of jazz waltzes, Chopin waltzes, Viennese Strauss waltzes, and then atonal American waltzes, and puts that into this this really crazy piece. It was the commission piece for the 1992 Clyburn competition. So it's played a lot then, not so much now, but it's a great opener. After that, I'll be playing Beethoven's Opus 7 Sonata, which is one of the rarely played sonatas, and then Stravinsky's own arrangement of Petrushka, the ballet. And then in the second half, I'll be doing Brahms's second piano sonata, which is a very exciting piece that he wrote when he was 2 years older than me. There's a pretty cool connection there to play a piece that someone who's basically your age wrote. I think it's pretty cool.
How often do you practice, or how much do you practice a day, particularly for an event like this coming up?
I typically practice 6.5 hours a day.
And you do that in the morning? Like, do you get up and run to the piano, or is it an afternoon, evening thing?
I split it up. So I do about 4.5 hours in the morning and 2 in the evening.
And you're also in the process, because you're going to be graduating from high school in, I guess, June. You're applying to conservatories across the country.
Yes, I've been applying to conservatories and universities across the country. If all goes well, I'll get invitations to auditions in the spring. And if that goes well, I'll get into a few places and I'll have a choice, which is very exciting.
Well, that'll be fantastic. And of course, you have to keep us posted on that and let us know what ends up, what happens. I want to ask you just about what it's like to play the piano and play these works that are just incredibly complex. Do you feel like you almost lose yourself in a piece? Where's your brain when you're playing?
All right, so my brain is basically focused on 2 things. One is going to be just getting the technical aspects down, write notes, making it clear, etc. And then the other half is going to be trying to create an emotion with the music, which is really what music is all about. It's about emotion. So depending on the difficulty of the piece and the texture, I probably go back and forth between those 2.
And are you thinking ahead, or is part of your brain thinking ahead? It's like, oh, this really tough part of the piece is coming up, and I need to do this and this and this, or does it all just kind of flow in a line?
It should flow. If you're nervous about a particular spot, that's not good. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Aidan, for taking time from your busy practice schedule to fill us in on this concert. And I understand that you're gonna play an excerpt from one
Yes.
of your pieces.
I'm going to be playing the first movement of Brahms's Opus 2 piano sonata.
Well, great. Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.